Impossible is nothing. I'm loving it. Think different. Who at least once in your life is not heard in the head advertising slogans such as this? Anyway, it is inevitable. We are surrounded by advertising in everyday life. Advertisements directed at general groups of consumers appear on commercial television and on the radio, at the cinema, on billboard posters, and in newspapers and magazines. Advertisements are not without history. The most basic and still the most powerful form of advertising has been around ever since humans started providing goods and services. The aim of all these advertisements is to draw attention to particular products or services through announcements paid for an individual or a group of people wishing to inform or influence a particular audience. Inevitably, advertisements will be dominated by images, and usually this will be more important than any accompanying spoken or written words. But it's the use of the language that will ensure the memorization of the identity of the product and the brand. Within the framework of the international marketing strategies, advertising plays a key role, but we have to start from the basic, from the discipline that governs these global interchanges: marketing. Marketing is the management process through which goods and services go from the concept to the consumer in order to create exchanges that satisfy the needs of individual and organization. It includes coordinating 4 elements called the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. This is the marketing mix, which includes all the instruments that a company avails itself to retort to market demand. Advertising not only carries out the informative function in order to make a product known, but is also an instrument which provides a direct incitement to purchase by pressing consumers and exerting influence of them. The 2 main strategies adopted within the international market are globalization and localization. Globalization is the process that involves both the financial and economic markets, with consequence on society and its cultural dimension. Companies that export their own brand abroad must therefore pay attention to this phenomenon. When exporting its brand, a company needs to bear in mind several factors, including the potential of a global advertising campaign, the different perceptions and reaction of the local targets towards a single campaign, the distinction of the products advertised, the reference market differences, the characteristic of different mass media, the different attitudes towards advertising, and the various local advertising styles. When a company wants to take part in a foreign market, it must take into account many variables depending on the different characteristics of a company in another country. As regards the second strategies nowadays preferred by companies in the international marketing actions, the so-called localization has shown the corporations' flexibility and their desire to differentiate themselves from country to country, from market to market, to understand the local reality, to maintain control over the global market. In this way, the enterprise adapts to locally changing its characteristics. The globalization of economies and trade intensification lead companies to communicate with consumers of different languages and cultures. How can globalized products be sold in a local reality and to local consumers? It is precisely in response to this question that the fundamental role of advertising translation in international marketing strategies emerges. In the field of international marketing, translation plays a fundamental role in the advertising campaigns adopted by companies which make their choices based on socio-economic factors. International marketing and translation in advertising share a common goal: getting the message across to a distinct cultural community, which even shares the same languages. In this context, the translator plays a key role in the adaptation of the communication campaign. In addition to his role as a translator of the speech, strictly speaking, he must make sure that the social-cultural restrictions, which could be problematic in the advertising transfer, are taken into consideration. It is not a mere change of designation stemming from computer science vocabulary, but a radical change of perspective concerning the real nature and modes of linguistic and cultural transfer from one language into another. The recurrent question for them being: how can we convey a single message written in two different languages without losing neither the spirit nor the identity of the head campaign? The management of the other, which is what international advertising is all about, will be a challenge from the translator-localizer at varying levels related to the different parts of the advertising message, namely the image of the end and the text on the other. Within the latter, that is, the text of the head, one can recognize the brand name, the slogan, or the catchline and the caption. Each of the above-mentioned aspects could pose a problem when transferring them from one language to another. The adaptation in content and form that we are going to analyze are typical examples of the cultural problems in the field of advertising. The first example of international advertising is what we call graphic adaptation. In the advertisement for the perfume Tuscany, the framework of the ad was transformed. The background image was adapted to the social-cultural environment of the hosting country. The substitution of a Mediterranean-type street scene for a typical Italian family scene is not insignificant. It aims at adapting the semiotic elements of the original iconography to the imagination of the target Arabic consumers and to life scenes that are more common in Arab societies. The next example we are going to analyze is the advertisement of the luxuries Tissot watches. This textual adaptation is visible on two levels. On the one hand, we have rhetoric images with the translation of the expression Blue Planet in French, which was translated Our Mother, the Earth in Arabic. Therefore, the translation is more idiomatic and emotionally charged. And on the other hand, we have ideologically chosen words, with the word citizen translated inhabitant, in order to neutralize the political dimension that is still very consequential in Arabic, because it refers to a type of government that is rare in the Arabic world, the republican and the democratic system. These two examples of localization show how the interaction between the translation itself and the cultural factors of the target market takes place within the commercial communication. Translation is acquiring a position of primary importance and is considered an essential work instrument in international communication, although it is still seen as a mere transfer of linguistic elements from one language to another. But translating an advertising campaign is a need that most competitive companies have to deal with sooner or later.